Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bubbles, the podcast about comics, anime, pop culture, and everything that entails, which seems to be growing weekly. I, of course, am Terry Williams, and the gentleman next to me is Mr. Ben Dunn.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, folks. How are you, Ben?
Doing good. I heard that you went to a convention this past weekend.
I did. It was actually one that I'd been looking forward to for quite a while. We actually had, it was huge. It was
what was it called?
Texoma Comic Con. It was in Durant, Oklahoma, my hometown. So it was kind of, we did, some classmates and I got together Saturday and went out for some adult beverages. There is, unfortunately, some proof out on Facebook of the evening we had, which was, man, it's always fun hanging out with my old classmates. Stephanie Dodolny, voice of Kid Goku and Kid Gohan from the original Dragon Ball Z, was there in attendance. Quite a few people. There was, I got to meet and got an autograph, handshake, picture with Flash Gordon himself. Flash Gordon himself. Flash Jordan. Sam Jones.
Sam Jones, yes.
Which was really super, super nice guy. Really, really cool.
Yeah, he's certainly embraced his role as Flash Gordon, because when that movie first came out, he had a falling out with the producers. Oh, you don't hear about that?
No.
What? Yeah.
What happened? I didn't know.
Near the end of the production, he got so mad about the whole situation with the movie. He didn't come back for any reshoots or
really
any dubbing if you in some scenes where his voice is dubbed by another actor.
Wow, I had no idea about that. He seems to embrace it now because actually it was really nice of him because I went over to get his autograph and I had some of the old Gold Key Carlton Flash Gordon books. I took one of those for him to sign and he looked at me and was like, "Oh, a vendor. Do you have any other Flash Gordon books?" It's like, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Bring them to me." So I went over and got him, and he's looking through them really quick, and he pulls out his phone. He has a list of all the books that he has. And so he needed a couple, and we worked out kind of partial trade, partial cash for his autograph and pick, and super, super nice guy. We talked. That was Saturday. We talked again on Sunday. He came by, and we just had a great time. Super, super nice guy.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, it was, one of those childhood, because I don't know how many times I watched Flash Gordon as a kid. It was like.
Well, you and Ted.
Yeah, right?
You love that
exactly,
movie,
exactly. And that was going on in my head the whole time I was talking to him as Ted, which was really cool. But the show overall was really good. They had upwards of 3,000 attendees on Saturday, and this was the first year they've had it. So this is now it's the first annual because they're doing it again next year. It was at the Choctaw Casinos in Durant, which is a really nice casino. It was actually at the convention center, which is right across the street from the actual casino itself.
So the convention was actually competing with the casino then.
Yeah. Well, I think it was because I know some of my vendor buddies actually stayed up there all weekend. They got there Friday, went to the casino. There was a concert they went to on Friday night. I forgot who was in concert, but they went to the concert. They enjoyed a good time. And I was kind of thinking that when I heard this venue was announced as the venue for this con, I was thinking, oh, it's at a casino, so it ought to be, it's right on the border of Oklahoma and Texas, so I thought it's going to draw from Texas, it's going to draw from Oklahoma, it's going to draw from, Arkansas and Louisiana, and it ended up being really, really, really big.
Did you play any slots while you were there?
I did not go to the casino one time.
Well,
but
that's good.
I did sell Fantastic Four #1.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
We sold it to, actually, it was a...
Did you get what you were asking for it?
Pretty close. It was a friend. Actually, he was standing looking at the books, and he was like, "I know you." And I was like,
it seems to me that...
And he was like, "Yeah, I know you. We used to play fantasy football. And, you used to go to the local LCS, which is, they're in Denison, box seat." And I was like, "We did." And we rekindled, and he's down. You'll enjoy this. He is now down. At that point, he needed 5 Marvel comics from the Silver Age. He's down to 4.
Oh, my gosh.
It's his list of comics. All he needs is Hulk 1, Tales to Astonish, 27, first Ant-Man, I think, X-Men 1, and Tales of Suspense 39, first Iron Man. That's all he needs.
Yeah, out of all of them, the Hulk one will probably be the hardest one to get.
That's what I was thinking.
Because I think that was like the second Marvel book that they came out after Fantastic Four.
I think so. That's one of those hard ones. I see more FF ones than I do the Hulk ones. That's just one of those.
Yeah, because the Hulk was not a big hit when it first came out.
Really?
Yeah, I mean when the issues came out, it didn't resonate with people.
Yeah, because I noticed they had stopped. I mean, Hulk went like 1 through 6 of his own. Then he was Tales to,
and then he started
Yeah.
guest
Yeah.
appearances.
yeah,
And then
And then
eventually he worked his way into Tales to Astonish.
yep.
And then he got his own book after that.
Back at number 100, they started.
102
at
was the
102,
first issue. Yeah, that's
Which
the
I guess
Hulk
it started.
one.
Yeah,
Second Hulk one.
yeah, kind of weird.
Well, that's good to hear that the back issue market is still pretty healthy.
Yeah, it was. We did really well, and it was good seeing so many people because there were almost, I think, 18 or 19 comic vendors there.
Really?
So it wasn't. The cons are getting. I've noticed their
But
cons.
you probably had the best stuff.
actually had the most stuff.
Oh, really?
I will
Wow.
say that my booth was the biggest and the most inventory. I'm not going to say it was the best, but there were some big books as always. But yeah, it was one of those.
So what was the general feeling among retailers about the market?
Everybody did good this weekend, so I think everyone's starting to say the market is leveling off. You know, we had the
Coming back down to normal.
yeah, we had the high of COVID. We had that stayed high for a little while, then it dropped, and we had the drop kind of year before last and last year where it kind of just the market fell out, the bottom fell out. Then now we're seeing it kind of stabilize where it ought to be. You know, everybody knew it wouldn't stay the post-COVID prices. That was just insane.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the thing is that, what were you selling most? Were you selling mostly back issues or were you selling modern comics?
Back issues mainly because that's pretty much all we have. But I did sell some of the some modern books, but no new stuff really. Most of it was early 2000s. Most of it was 80s, 90s stuff for the most part.
I've heard that the variant cover thing is starting to wane. People
Very.
are starting to get a little frustrated by the whole
Yep.
situation.
Unless there's a lot of people like me who, if Adam Hughes does a cover, I want it just because I love his art. But outside of that, I'm seeing a lot of people gravitate toward one artist, but all the other covers they don't care about. Like I don't know what to call it, the businessization, I guess, of let's do this, Spider-Man. Let's start Spider-Man again, Ultimate Spider-Man, but let's make 15 variants. So
Did they do 15 variants?
I think they did 7 or 8.
Wow, that's too. Well, the ironic thing is that I heard that is actually a really good book.
It's really good. I've read it. It's good. The whole reboot of the Ultimate Universe, that stuff has been selling crazy as far as new books. Those are insane right now. Like Ultimate Spider-Man 1 is the first, which is weird with it. I'm seeing, and I think it's should be telling folks like all the publishers something in that the main covers on Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther are the main sellers. Those are the ones fetching the big bucks, not the variants that typically you'll see the 1 in 25 variant or the 1 in 50 variant as the expensive ones, whereas now it's the main cover is what everybody wants.
Well, it's interesting because Marvel has done the Ultimate line before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of the reasons why that's how Miles Morales was introduced, was through the Ultimate line.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Marvel is trying to achieve with this new Ultimate line? I mean, they canceled it. I mean, it was very successful for a little while, but then they canceled it. So do you think they're actually trying to do a relaunch of the Ultimate line as sort of a separate from the actual? I mean, I can't even really tell what's the Marvel Universe anymore.
Yeah, because when the Ultimate line came out, it was a separate universe basically.
Right.
And now, but when they brought Miles into the regular 616 continuity, it's like, okay, you kind of, this other universe doesn't exist anymore, and it's one of those that got convoluted, but they did it. I was thinking when I first saw Ultimate Spider-Man being announced in the Ultimate Universe, because it started out with, I think, Ultimate Invasion, which led to Ultimate Universe to Ultimate Spider-Man. I think it was one of those that I thought, my first thought was money grab. They just want to redo stuff and sell books. But what I found, and I've read both that are out so far, Ultimate Black Panther and Ultimate Spider-Man, both are really solid stories. Really, really good. So
But they're self-contained stories,
Yes.
am I correct?
Yes.
They have no connection to the actual Marvel Universe.
No. Well, they kind of gave back to an homage to the original Ultimate Fantastic Four, where there was Reed Richards had the evil self, the Maker. He's come in and he plays a vital part in this whole relaunch of this system. It's basically his doing that Peter is how he is now with no powers, etc. So, but the stories so far have been really, really good. It looks like, at least this is just my opinion, instead of pushing something out to just make some money, they've actually taken time and have good story, good writing, good art, good lettering. Everything about the series has been good so far. I'm hoping it maintains, but we'll see.
What do you think their ultimate aim is? I mean,
I think to make another
ultimate aim.
And I think to make another.
I mean, are they trying to create a separate universe?
Yeah, I think it's one of those where you can. And what I liked about the Ultimate Universe when it first came out, like the Ultimates was the first book in the Ultimate Universe. No, Ultimate Spider-Man. Was Ultimate Spider-Man Ultimate Universe? Forgot which one it was. But I liked it because it's a great jumping on point for a brand new reader. You don't need to know all the lore. Because you know how they've started doing, and I've noticed it really with Marvel and DC, really, they just start, they erase the history and start over with different storylines for the characters, basically.
Well, I mean, as a reader.
Yeah, and I think for this, they made it so that it's absolutely a great jumping on because you don't need to know anything about.
Well, then the ultimate question is, well, the question is that, is continuity important then?
To me, it is.
Well, I mean, it seems like they're ignoring continuity.
They are.
You know,
well,
in fact, they're just throwing it to the wind and say, if it's a good story, you can use the characters in whatever story you want. Who cares about the continuity?
They kind of explained it with in the story so far, in at least Ultimate Spider-Man, because I haven't read number 2. Well, number 2 of Black Panther isn't out yet, and Ultimate X-Men are coming. Is the Maker from the original Ultimate line basically plays a big, huge part of this. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it does tie into the original Ultimate line with the Ultimate Fantastic Four and the Ultimate Man of the Maker, which is evil Reed Richards. So it does have that tie-in. So as far as continuity that way, it is there, and you find out why Peter doesn't have powers, and it's 30 years later because he's middle-aged, well, not middle-aged, but in his 30s married with kids and this kind of stuff, but just no powers.
Well, for me, as a reader, of course, I grew up with the original Marvel Universe, this so-called 616 version. I'm looking at all these Marvel books, and DC less so, because DC seems to have a little bit, they're not willing to take as many chances with their characters as they are with Marvel and DC, with Marvel. It causes a lot of brand confusion because, the thing about it is that I don't know which version of Spider-Man I'm actually reading, which version of it is. I think that, and this is just a suggestion to Marvel, I think that what they need to do is they need to label their versions of their characters with something that signifies that you're reading this version of Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like, for instance, they have the 616. Why don't they just put on their cover 616 on there? And this way okay, this is part of the main Marvel universe, and this way you label all the ones that are in the main Marvel universe 616. And then when you as a buyer go and find a comic, you see there's 616 label on it. You say, oh, this is the continuity I want to follow.
Right. So you're not jumping back and forth and losing.
Right. Or you're saying, this is not the same character I'm reading, I mean, who knows?
But maybe that's part of their marketing ploy in that they're hoping that someone that comes in and starts reading Ultimate Spider-Man and goes to the store or sends mom to the store to get me the latest Spider-Man book, and she just grabs Amazing Spider-Man, and they've just sold another book.
Well, I mean,
non-suspect. It's backdoorish, but
I'm hoping
that's not.
That's like saying, that's like buying a bag of potato chips and not knowing what flavor it is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't know. I like the story so far, and I like everything about it, but I'm like you. I'm from the.
See, it makes it hard for collectors to actually collect. Because if you want a run of something, you don't know whether this goes in this pile, this goes in that pile.
Yeah.
How do you,
Yeah. How do I read this in order? Like,
right.
Because you and I grew up when, like, for me,
we had one Spider-Man.
Yeah.
title.
My wheelhouse was the John Byrne and Claremont X-Men.
Right.
And I knew every month.
But that was only one X-Men title.
And I knew every month when I got that book who's going to be writing it. And I knew where it left off last month. I knew what to expect this, kind of thing. Then we got into the crossovers, like with Secret Wars and all that. And you started that to me, that's the first time I remember, and it might have been something earlier than that, but it's the first I remember actively going out and seeking out books like Power Pack that I didn't read, but I wanted it because it was a tie-in into the Secret Wars story. So I think they're doing that, made it where you've got to buy all these titles if you want to read the whole story. And I think that's kind of where they're going with it now, is that, oh, well, you got to buy all of this to know and it becomes too much because now, I mean, it was expensive for me as a kid back then when the books were 65 cents. Now they're $4.99, $5.99, some more than that. I have to be very particular on what I buy just because I don't have the budget to go and get 40 titles every month.
Right. Well, I mean, when I was growing up, there was only one Daredevil title. There was only one X-Men title.
Yep.
So it was easy to keep up with all of them, But now, with so many different titles of the same group, same hero, it's hard to decide which version that you want to collect. And I mean, I want the comic book industry to succeed, of course, but I think that this brand confusion sometimes can be too daunting for any new readers to come along,
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway.
Yeah, it's one of those, I don't know. So have you seen or are you excited for Dune?
Yes, I am. In fact, I rewatched the original 1984 version because my wife had never seen it. And I rewatched the Dune Part 1.
Oh, okay. How did she like it? What was her review?
Well, she avoided watching the 1984 version because she didn't seem to have any interest in it at all whatsoever. But she did like the new version, the Dune Part 1. So she was willing to give it a chance to see if she would like the second one. I mean, the 1984 version. And she actually did like it because she understood the storyline.
Okay.
And it really confuses me because people are always saying, oh, Dune's too confusing for most people.
I've heard that.
And I think that you're underestimating, people intelligence by doing that. I mean, I can see that some people might get confused, but it's a really very simple storyline. I mean, if you really think about it, it's very, very simple storyline.
Yep. I watched the 84 version. I haven't seen the remake. Or, the remake, I guess, Part 1, I guess. So I guess I need to go and watch it and get ready for the new one.
You probably will.
Because I'm hearing really good things about the new one. I mean, I'm hearing that the budget, of course, is out of this world, but that it's done really, really well.
Well, I heard it's on track to open between $1 to $200 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, since I haven't seen the first one, and I don't want to give away any spoilers or anything, but did the first one set up a sequel?
The first one, my understanding was that they actually was trying to do 3 movies.
Oh, a trilogy.
But since the first one did not perform as well as they wanted it to, they axed that idea. And if you watch the first one, it is basically Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 in one movie.
Okay.
So they had to really abridge it, condense it, in order to fit it into a single movie, But it's definitely a movie that is. I'm glad that they're finally putting it out. And of course, there was a Sci-Fi Channel version of Dune.
So with the mediocre success of the first one, why do you think this one's getting so much buzz?
Well, I think it's because the production values are way higher, and I think that they had the first one and saw the mistakes they made to try to avoid this one. And second, I think that they were trying to remain closer to the source material because they could now do a lot of things now that they couldn't do back in '84. Right. I mean, the level of special effects have of course progressed to the point where you can do a lot of stuff that was considered unfilmable back then, and so now it's, and I think that people were ready, for Dune because we've had the 1984 version, so a lot of people had seen it, we're familiar with the material, and we're ready for a new version of it,
right?
So and it was a very well made film, so it paid homage to the source material, and I think that as long as you pay homage to the first material, it's going to come out pretty good.
Yeah, and I've noticed because this weekend I had people asking me when I didn't have any, asking because I think I sold them a while ago, asking me for the Dune limited series, the one that came out back in the 80s.
Yeah.
That went along with the movie.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Marvel did a limited series for that.
So it's generating some buzz. Either way. Speaking of creating a buzz, the pics going around yesterday online of Bill Skarsgård as Eric Draven in the Crow remake look amazing. He really. So I was a big fan of the original The Crow, and I know it didn't have a big box office. It wasn't a big box office.
No, it was
success.
actually a big success.
It was?
Yeah,
I remember
huge,
it being like a cult favorite.
Considering the budget that it had, I think it was pretty low budget.
True. Yeah.
You know, it actually did very, very well. You know, in fact, I think they even did a sequel, if I recall, or did a couple. There was a spin-off series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall because I did watch the first movie, but that was a long time ago.
Yes,
you know, and it was very successful.
Yep, that was one of those that I went to see the movie without. That's actually one that I knew about. I don't know. I didn't know really about The Crow yet.
Yeah, James O'Barr is the guy who created The Crow.
Yes.
I actually think he lives here in Texas.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
because
that.
I've seen him at local conventions here. So I'm not sure. Don't hold me on it, but I do think he lives here in Texas. So, but he created the character a long time ago. It was Caliber Presents #2.
Yep.
At his first appearance. Very hard book to find.
We had one. We sold it.
Oh,
yeah, we had it.
Especially in good condition.
Yeah, it was
nobody cared.
Like a 9.2 or 9.4, I think. But it was one of those movies that got. I thought the movie was really good. It was really dark. It was really foreboding. But it got so much publicity and press because of the death of Brandon Lee filming the movie. You know, it was the first. When all this stuff happened recently with the Alec Baldwin thing, with the death on that movie set, Rust, I think is what it's called. The death on that movie set through the gun that was actually shooting, had a real bullet in it, kind of thing. That's what happened with Brandon Lee. And for anyone who doesn't know, if the name Lee sounds familiar, yes, Brandon Lee was Bruce Lee's son, and passed away making that movie, which was really. In fact, he didn't even finish the movie. The last few scenes were a double or something.
Doubles, yeah. Well, what do you know about this movie?
The new one, I don't know much about it at all.
Is it a sequel or is it a remake?
It's a remake. It's a remake of the original. So that I'm actually excited for, but especially the way.
Well, how close are you going to stay to the source material? Because I looked at the picture, and he doesn't look like the Crow.
No, he doesn't. and
at least not the comic book version.
Right, and I don't know where this is going.
Yeah.
But I'm actually excited to see it. It's one of those that it's on my radar. It's coming out this year, I think in June. I had it pulled up. Let's see, what is that release date? Yeah, June 7th. So
not too long.
No. Bill Skarsgård, of course, is the star. Not a lot of other huge high name people in it that I know of, but Bill Skarsgård actually.
Well, do you think this is the kind of movie that our modern audiences will, because the original comic, for those who are not familiar, and spoilers ahead, it was a revenge story. Okay, so I'm not sure how closely you're going to stick to the source material, because I know very little about what they're doing, But I assume that if they're going to call it The Crow, they're going to try to stay, at least somewhat faithful to the source material.
And I've done a little bit of checking, but not a lot. I don't know if they got Mr. O'Barr involved or not. I would hope so, but
highly doubtful.
Yeah. I know.
The thing about Hollywood is that once they get a hold of one of your properties, you have very little control over it.
I know, but you would think, with Warrior Nun, I would hope they would consult with you on some stuff anyway. Hey, what do you think about this? What would she do here? They're like, nah. Ben created it. We own it. It's ours now. The
thing about Hollywood is that once they get their mitts onto an IP, it pretty much, they can decide whatever they want to do. They can, out of the goodness of their hearts, consult the original creator, but they don't have to.
Right.
Sometimes they'll do it because it'll bring some cachet to the property, and hopefully will attract the fans of the property. Like in the original 1984 Dune, Frank Herbert was very much involved in the production of that movie.
Yes.
And so he was very disappointed it didn't do as well as he thought it should have. so he didn't have anything to do with it afterwards, So, but of course he's passed away. So now they're pretty much the people who do can do whatever they want, really.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
true.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And speaking of movies, there's another, well, it's kind of twofold. There's in pop culture, since we are a pop culture show, and there's nothing I don't think more pop culture than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's a sequel to the animated movie last year coming out this year. And I also read that there is a new animated series coming out, which that kind of interests me just because the original Turtles series was really good to me. I really enjoyed it.
Yes,
so it's one of those
that is a property that's very smart in its approach. The thing about the Turtles is that every new incarnation is a different version of the same thing. You know, and they change it in a way that they feel will appeal to a new generation of fans. And the thing about it, and this is so clever and this is very smart. I have to give kudos to the people who run the franchise, is that, they're able to keep that IP fresh, and they know who their target audience is.
Right.
See, I think this was a big mistake when they did Star Wars. Star Wars did not know who their target audience was. I mean, they knew who it was, but it wasn't the traditional Star Wars audience.
Right.
I think that's where they made a big mistake. But with the Turtles, the people who have the Turtles, they know who their target audience is, and they know how to appeal to them. And that's how come the Turtles, despite being made in 1982, 83, is still popular today than it ever has been.
Yeah, it never fails at every time I'm at a show or a convention. Got any turtles? Got any turtles? Got any turtles? I mean, it's one of those titles that, to me, it's one of the most popular titles out there. And it doesn't matter which rendition, like you said, because there's so many. It's gone from, was it
the original version?
The original to now there's IDW, there's the Last Ronin. There's so much out there that you're like, gosh, it's almost like with what we were just talking about. How do you keep up? But they do it so well that it's actually easy to keep up.
Yeah, they can do versions of the turtle like a multiverse version. They can do stories with that appeal to to an older readership and to fans who originally were part of the original. You can imagine, you say you were 20 years old in 1982 and you picked up the first issue of the Turtles. I mean, how old would you be now? Like
middle age,
50 years.
Yeah, middle age guys our age.
Yeah, exactly.
Running around like, oh, yeah. And I think that's why it stayed. And it's really amazing that like those first.
But their kids and their grandkids also grew up with the Turtles.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those. It's always been
a shared experience.
Yeah, it's maintained its foothold on pop culture
because it's just appealing. It's a very simple concept, that you can always tool around with and make it work.
Yeah,
maybe some are not as successful as others, but it never fails.
No, in between the comics, the live action movies, the cartoons, the animated movies, the series, it's like they've never taken a break. They've been there throughout. Like, it's one of those things that I watch the Turtles, my grandson watches the Turtles. It's like, man, my son, my grandson, we all have that in common. And I see that at a lot of conventions where it's a dad and his son. In fact, this weekend, I had a gentleman come in, like my age, and was asking about turtles, got his son some turtles. He was back Sunday with his dad, who also had the complete run of the original Turtles. And I said, it's like a family that just grew up on Turtles.
Yeah, because
it's really cool.
I think the people who have the license, they know how to take care of it. They know, like I said, they know their audience, and they know how to foster the next generation.
And that the Turtles, I think, is still an independent not independent,
no,
but
it's Nickelodeon owns.
Yeah, Nickelodeon owned. Yeah, so but they still consult with Eastman and Laird on a lot of stuff. From what I've heard, I know that, and I didn't get to talk.
My understanding is they don't want anything to do with it.
Really?
I could be wrong.
Because I didn't get to meet last summer in Memphis, at Memphis Comic Con. Mr. Eastman was there, and I wanted to go see him, meet him, but the line, every time I got a break, the line was way too long, so I was not going to get to. But I wanted to, man, I had like a 5 list questions that I wanted to ask him. Just
My understanding is that they don't own any of the property anymore.
Really?
You know, so they Nickelodeon owns but I think they somewhere in I don't know if it's Eastman or Laird, but I think there's a clause in their contract that they're allowed to produce one turtle project a year for into perpetuity. You know, I could be wrong.
Good,
but that's my understanding.
well, that's good.
Yeah, so
That's good. So okay, so that brings me that makes me think. So with you and Warrior Nun, are you still able to write Warrior Nun comics?
No.
Done.
No.
That stinks. Okay. I knew I hadn't seen anything since, so I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's all the whim of the people who own the production. If they decide that they want to contact me, they can. If they decide not to, they can do that too.
Yeah.
That's their prerogative. I mean, the thing about it is that to any creators out there thinking of wanting to sell their IP to Hollywood, just be prepared to lose all control over it.
Yep. Oh well, maybe it's for the best. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know.
If you think about it, think about all the great IPs that are based on books. I mean, James Bond. You know, Ian Fleming had some control over it, but he had very little say in the production of the movies. Even J.K. Rowling has very little say on the production of a movie.
Yep.
You know, she can. They want her to be participatory because they feel like if they have her cachet attached to it, then it'll be more legitimate. You know, but they don't have to. They don't have. They could do their own version of Harry Potter, and she can't do a damn thing about it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, unless it's in the contract.
Yep.
You know, but they pretty much. But you know, in Hollywood contracts, they want complete control over everything.
Yeah, which makes I guess it makes sense, but it's still just because knowing folks like you that had Warrior Nun, it's like, you should still. To me, it's just me.
I don't regret
No. And I completely understand that, and I'm sure you were well compensated and all that. But it's still just the fact that if I bought, it's just me, small-minded, I guess. But I look at you created it. I bought it because of the stuff that you created and did. I would want your input to kind of because I bought it for your character, so I want to know what you would do with this character. Here's what I'm thinking. Ben, what do you think on this?
Well,
is what I would do. But again, they don't have to. I understand that. But for me, that's what I would do. Like Mr. Obar, even with the crow, I would, hey, what do you think? Just, and be some kind of a fee where I don't know how they could work it, but it just seems like if it goes crazy, like with the turtles, and I'm sure that they have their little claws or whatever, like you said, but those residuals, that kind of stuff from the movies and all that would be great. But again, they want that control.
I mean, it's all about.
I can see how that could get sticky as well.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're dealing with an IP of any type, it's all about who controls the rights. And the thing about it is that unless you're very savvy about what you do, you can easily lose all control over your creation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, people like Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, all those people who created all those, basically the Marvel Universe, I mean, they should have been billionaires.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
Exactly.
Because they would just work for hire.
Yep.
And they gave Marvel their best creations and they didn't benefit from them.
Exactly. So, and this just popped into my mind because we mentioned it in an episode last year. Have you, and I've not seen anything else about it, has there been any updates on the Fables?
I haven't heard anything about it. I don't think anyone's willing to go against DC now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
I think what's happening is that everyone's waiting for someone to actually do it and see what happens. But no one's willing to do it.
Yep.
So until that happens, I don't think anyone's going to take a chance.
Yeah.
Especially since DC put it out there that if you try this, we're going to go after you.
Yeah.
So they've been warned.
Yeah. Maybe we can get maybe Elon to back them. If it's a money thing, let's go to court and see. He has.
I mean, it's not the same situation as like Mickey Mouse.
Of course, yeah.
So, but it is I mean, he can declare it, but doesn't make it so.
Yeah.
So, like I said, no one's willing to take that chance yet.
Yep. Oh well, man, crazy. So anyway, I know we did our the movie list last month or whatever, and we, for whatever reason, didn't mention Turtles and we didn't mention The Crow. So that's added to the movie list, folks. This is going to be a big movie year, hopefully. So hopefully there's lots of stuff to go do. between. Are you going to be at any conventions coming up, by the way?
Let's see. I think I'm going to LitCon, which is a local show here.
Okay.
I think there's a Dallas Comic Show, but
Yes, Dallas Comic Show is in April.
But I have not got an official invitation yet, so I'm hoping to be able to sit up there. But until I hear from Mark, I'm not going to count my chickens. So
and I know there's one. Hill Country is next. It's in April, first part of
that's
April.
the
I
one
want
in
to
New
do.
Braunfels.
Yes, I'm trying to get in there, and there's one coming up next weekend, actually in Conroe, that I want to go to, and it's twofold. I want to go and set up to sell comics, but I want to go personally because Kevin Grievo is going to be there, or Grievous, who is the creator of Blue Marble. So.
Yeah, if any of you out there are running conventions and you want us to plug it, you let us know, man. We want to help local shows, whenever we can.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Let us know about the shows. If you need a supremely talented artist writer, I know one who you may be able to say, hey, we're doing this show, want to come be a guest. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I hadn't thought about that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know about local shows or even shows that aren't local. Tell us what's going on so we can get the word out there and get you promoted and get people there because...
Yeah, we love our local shows.
Oh, absolutely. And if you haven't been to a con, I highly suggest you go. It's one of those experiences. And no, it's not for everybody. I'm not going to say it is.
Oh, it's for everybody. It's
but
fun.
For me, yes, there's something.
It'll be a total nostalgia trip for anyone who goes there. It'll bring back so many memories.
It's not just, I talk about comics all the time because that's what I love, but there's so much more. There's special guests. There's art. There's always all kinds of vendors, be it toys, be it
comics,
posters,
records,
necklaces, whatever. It's there. And not to mention all the cosplayers. I got pictures with Master Chief from Halo. Got a picture with Barf from Spaceballs. So it's always fun seeing all the great costumes, and people put hours of work into these things. So again, any local guys who have a show coming up, even if you want to come on and join us someday on Zoom and talk about your show, get it out there, let us know. We'd love to have you on.
How can they contact you?
They can contact me through, I am on Twitter, I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, website, wherever, Beyond the Bubbles. Reach out to us. And if you like and subscribe here, you can message me here and just say, hey, have some ideas. Let us know. Hey, Ben, we have a show coming up. We need a guest. How about it? Let us know. And how can they reach you?
They can reach me on X. They can reach me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. So I'm pretty easy to reach. I have my own website, benduncomics.com. So you just go ahead and check me out there and drop me a line.
Absolutely. Oh, you can also find us, if you're looking for inventory, you can find us at rickiesandkeys.com, which is, we have all our comics, we have Pokemon, we have sports cards. We don't have everything up because I don't think the website could hold everything, but let me know if you don't see it there, message Josh or I. We'll get back to you and say, yeah, we have it, yeah, we don't, or yeah, we can get it for you. And 99% of the time, I guarantee if we don't have it, we can find it.
Absolutely. And any creators out there, you want to come in and promote your latest project or just want to hang around and talk, just let us know.
Absolutely. We love guests. Makes it fun and inviting. Thanks, folks. Once again, this is Beyond the Bubbles. We appreciate you. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. We thank you for taking your time out to either listen or watch or both. Please, I'm seeing more comments, so please keep the comments coming. Like, subscribe. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you've got coming up, what you see, all that kind of stuff. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Adios, everyone.